Thank you so much, and good morning and good afternoon to everybody. And thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here today and share with you the findings from our inaugural research with the Tech for Good Institute on the platform economy and the unique role it plays as a growth catalyst for the digital economy in Southeast Asia and in Malaysia in particular. Let me start by giving a little bit of a definition on what do we mean by the platform economy. So when we are talking about the platform economy here, we're really referring to O2O platforms or online to offline platforms. Online to offline platforms are unique in that they bridge the digital and the physical worlds, and they provide consumers and businesses a range of services for us all to participate in the digital economy and get access and convenience for a number of sectors such as travel, food, e-commerce, and in the future, healthcare and education. So that's what we mean by the platform economy. Southeast Asia is already a home to a number of global and homegrown O2O platforms. And these platforms are accelerating investments as well as innovation to drive the growth of the broader digital economy. Our research, we focused on a few key messages that I wanted to share with you today. First and foremost, platforms have transformed how we work, socialize, and create economic value in Southeast Asia. O2O platforms in particular, as I was mentioning, are very different from information platforms. They bring together both the physical and digital infrastructure to work, and that has changed the way that we live our lives. These platforms have been a key part of Southeast Asia's broader digital economy growth. In particular, they have driven the development of infrastructure, critical infrastructure, both digital infrastructure as well as physical infrastructure, in particular logistics, that bring access to a broad range of consumers. They've also provided a huge boost to micro, small, and medium enterprises, or MSMEs, to participate in the digital economy, which was not possible before the O2O platforms really started to scale up. The platform economy is growing very, very quickly, particularly accelerated by the COVID pandemic. We've crafted, as part of our research, an index that provides a framework for both private and public players to understand where we stand. The New Economy Progress Index, or NPI, helps us to understand how we are progressing across digital and physical infrastructure development, as well as how far we are in terms of consumer and MSME adoption and participation. Our research showed that consumer and MSME perception of platforms is overwhelmingly positive. We found through the pandemic, the O2O platforms have played a tremendous role in keeping a number of critical services going, in providing access and benefits to consumers that they would not have been able to obtain in the times of the lockdowns. They've also provided an incredibly important channel for MSMEs to survive, to continue business and serve their customers. Now, as you all know, with any technology innovation, there are challenges and risks. Southeast Asia is very unique. And while the O2O platforms have played a tremendous role over the past few years in providing value through the pandemic, while there's a lot of positive benefits that they have created, as we look ahead, there are some challenges and questions that need to be addressed. And it's particularly important that Southeast Asia charts its own course. What we found through our research that we are in quite a unique situation across the markets, both because of the demands of the consumers as well as the dynamics of the marketplace. The time for Southeast Asia is now to work together to navigate the platform economy. And we think there are four critical elements of doing this. The first is that this will require close collaboration between regulators and market participants. This will require an iterative and adaptive approach as the challenges evolve. As the platform economy is scaling up rapidly, we are finding new challenges in the future. Of course, this will require responsible and sustainable development of the platform economy, as well as regional coordination to maximize impact. Let me go through a few of these with some information around what our research showed for Malaysia. First off, consumers have embraced platforms in Malaysia. As I was mentioning, platform usage has grown very, very rapidly. We found that 7 in 10 consumers now have increased spend on O2O platforms and O2O services compared to just a couple of years ago. And 80% of consumers agree that platforms have had a positive influence on their quality of life. This spans across some of the key services that we studied: e-commerce and food delivery, ride hailing, as well as digital financial services. As you will see here on this page, it's a very, very high number of consumers that agree and that these platforms are adding value, agree that they are getting broader access and benefits, and able to access even new services such as digital lending that they were previously unable to get from banks or lenders. On the flip side, platforms also have created tremendous impact for MSMEs. 1 in 2 MSMEs are now using O2O platforms, and of those that are using platforms, 85% agree that they need these platforms to succeed in the future. They do not see a future world without O2O digital platforms to conduct their business. Across the 3 areas that you see here: e-commerce and food delivery, digital financial services, as well as work opportunities, there is tremendous benefits and growth that we have seen in these metrics over the last couple of years. As you will see here, particularly as well in the work opportunities, 73% drivers have had increased income after joining a platform like Grab. Flexibility of work is one of the number 1 reasons why drivers are working for Grab in Malaysia. This is just an indication of how digital platforms and the platform economy has created new opportunities for workers and is transforming the work model to a much more flexible and adaptable model for the future. The new economy progress index that we crafted it stands at about 52% or so for Malaysia. Let me explain what that means. This index provides a framework for countries to better understand and identify areas of strength as well as areas that need further development. And it's meant to be viewed as a benchmark or a starting point for each country's platform economy development. There are 4 areas. First is digital infrastructure, which is measuring mobile internet subscribers as well as mobile wallet users, which is about 61% for Malaysia. The second is physical infrastructure. As you will see here, same-day delivery is already very, very high in Malaysia. 2 out of 3 customers in Malaysia have access to same delivery, which is tremendous and opens up the opportunity for a whole new suite of services such as health and education as well. And the second metric there is mobile internet download speed. On the bottom of the index, you will see two other categories: MSMEs and consumers, capturing the adoption and participation of both of these critical parts of the platforms. On the MSMEs, the index stands at about 36%. There's about 12% of total sales that are going through O2O platforms. And then digital sales from those participating is already pretty high at about 60%. On the consumer side, digital consumers, 80% plus have been using O2O platforms, and a number of them are actually using multiple services. You see three plus services. This index is a very helpful guide as it starts to shine light in a very simple way on where the platform economy stands today and what we need to do to further develop. Let me shift gears a little bit to look ahead. The bulk of our research with the Tech for Good Institute was focused on trying to articulate what do we see as the challenges for the platform economy and the broader digital economy for Southeast Asia, and how will we navigate these. And we really felt that there were 4 broad categories of challenges. And these are challenges because they are trade-offs. Each of these areas, there are trade-offs to be made as we grow, to ensure that we are capturing the benefits of digital platforms as well as protecting all of the participants. The first is obviously competition. How do we continue to be attractive for large-scale regional platforms to attract the investments that are needed, while encouraging the innovation and growth for a number of smaller players, local platforms, alongside these larger players. This will be critical to ensure that we have a thriving ecosystem and a thriving marketplace so that innovation does not slow down. Second is consumer protection. As more and more consumers are accessing more and more services on O2O platforms, there's a situation that may arise where consumers are not protected, be it because of fraudulent activities, because of bad actors, or because of education itself and literacy as we go down further into the consumers across the region. How do we let businesses use consumer data for better services while protecting the consumer? How do we create the right data protection policies that are not overly burdensome for all of the micro, small, and medium businesses participating in the platform economy? while still protecting those. The third area is the future of work. Very important area to safeguard the interests of platform participants and ensure that we are able to develop the platform economy in a sustainable way, and it continues to scale. In particular, the O2O platforms are helping the transition of a wider labor population into the digital economy, the transition of both small businesses and micro, medium, and small businesses, but also labor. And how do we support that transition? Finally, and also critical, is the digital divide. While we see consumers and micro, small, and medium businesses that are participating in the digital economy get many benefits from these O2O platforms, we want to make sure that there are no consumers or small businesses left behind. So how do we ensure that it's economically attractive for platforms to serve the underserved part of the economy today, or the underserved part of the population today, to minimize or eliminate the digital divide? And how do we support the growth of the platform economy to be more equitable? These challenges are very real, and they are playing out all over the world. As you would have seen, there are issues in most markets, be it developed or emerging markets, and they're quite important for Southeast Asia as well. But as you would know, they take on a different flavor in Southeast Asia, because there are certain things that are unique here in Malaysia, as well as in the region, and we need to craft our own approach for this. So as we talk about, what are the priorities for Southeast Asia to do this, we really felt there were four elements that are needed. First is stakeholder collaboration. These challenges cannot be resolved by any one player alone, or by the government or the private sector by itself. This requires a collaboration across. It needs to be iterative and adaptive. We're not going to get the solutions right at the first time, and we need to reinvent maybe tools that have been used in the past. Third, it requires players to be responsible and sustainable. And I'll talk a bit more about this point. But it's important for the O2O platforms to be responsible players in the broader digital economy. And then finally, there is a lot of benefit that can be had from regional coordination. There are many of these issues can be solved much better with regional coordination. In particular, government can play a critical role in creating a supportive environment for platform businesses across all of these four pillars. And this will require a whole of government effort. It will be a difficult process. It will require change, but it can lead to a lot of benefits if we're able to bring together the different stakeholders to work together to address these challenges. I wanted to make a mention on the point around responsible and sustainable behavior by platforms. In particular, we felt there are four areas that are important. First is transparency, important for platforms to be accountable and co-create solutions, be authentic and transparent and collaborative with policymakers. There's a lot to learn on both sides. For policymakers, they are finding these new fast-growing digital platforms and trying to understand how their business model works and what the impact of their business has. And at the same time, many of these platforms are growing very rapidly and entering new spaces, particularly, for example, financial services, which has boomed in the last few years. And it requires a much more collaborative dialogue with policymakers. Second, invest in platform ecosystem building. It's critical for the O2O platforms, and particularly the scale regional players, to guide MSMEs and consumers towards platform services safely and responsibility, and build up the ecosystem, broader ecosystem for the development of the digital economy. Third, promoting platform users' interests. Critical for platforms to both educate customers, but help to build trust for both consumers and small businesses participating in the platforms. And then finally, environmental, social, and governance responsibilities, or ESG responsibilities. As we scale up and as the platforms start to have a much bigger impact across the economy, it's important for them to play a leading role on ESG topics and matters. I'll close off just with the closing comment that we are entering a decade of very strong expected growth in the digital economy, and so it's critical for us to act now. We need to work together to navigate the platform economy for all of us. It brings significant benefits, and it plays a critical role in as a growth catalyst for the digital economy. But these challenges will need to be managed, and it will be important for us to to manage them together and create a playbook that is unique and tailored to Southeast Asia and tailored to Malaysia if we want to be successful. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.